Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Fantasy Football Week 16 quarterback rankings. So, for today's episode, we're going to be going over the quarterback position and their specific matchups for this coming week. As per usual, we're going to go into that and kind of give you the idea of how I think this week will break down due to the matchups. Some players obviously are playing against terrible defenses this week and how that could potentially affect them and why you might want to play them over other quarterbacks. Then after that, we're going to be going over my 1 through 18 quarterback rankings and giving you my thoughts on how the week is going to break down. The rankings, they may be a surprise to many of us, but we'll see. We'll see how it breaks down. But either way, before we begin this video, I just want to go ahead and remind everybody that, again, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I will be holding 2 live streams. On Saturday, we will be running it from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be taking any and all questions, fantasy-related and life-related. Doesn't matter. Just hit me up. We're going to be hanging out and just talking, so hopefully you guys will join us. And also on Sunday morning, we'll be going from 8:30 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, just hanging out, answering game time questions before Week 16 begins. So that's pretty much it. Hey, everybody, how's it going? All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Let's start off with the matchups at the quarterback position as we get into Week 16. Hope everyone's doing well. We're on Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, last day of work, and then we get the nice 4-day long vacation, the long weekend into Christmas. So, oh yeah, again. So, well, no, I'll see you guys later on this week. But Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Whatever, Kwanzaa, I don't know what you guys celebrate, but hope everyone's doing well. If you're not religious, so be it. Just have a good weekend either way. All right, so let's get into this. We're talking about the fantasy points against. We're talking about how many points defenses give up to the fantasy quarterback position on a weekly basis. Number one is the Atlanta Falcons, but unfortunately, Cam Newton is not playing this week. He is not healthy enough. And one of the reports that I saw earlier today was that, in fact, Christian McCaffrey didn't even practice today. So there's a potential that the Carolina Panthers, now that they're absolutely eliminated, they're done. They don't give a crap. They're going to just pack it in and go on to next season. So for those of you who own Christian McCaffrey, man, this might not be a great week, but hopefully he ends up playing. Anyway, let's move on to the next defense giving up the most points to the quarterback position. That's the Cincinnati Bengals playing against Baker Mayfield in the Cleveland Browns. I think Baker Mayfield's going to have a great week. The last time he played against the Cincinnati Bengals, threw for 3 passing touchdowns, scored 28 points in the first half as a team, and he looked as good as he has all season long in that game. The last couple weeks, it's been a little bit of a hiccup playing against tougher defenses, but into such an easy matchup, I expect him to have a great time, and you'll see it in the rankings. He's pretty high ranked. It may be a little extreme, but to be honest, this is the way I feel. I feel like Baker can really take advantage of said matchup. Moving on to number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers giving up some points to the quarterback position. Now, can Dak Prescott take advantage of this? I think he has the potential to do so. I mean, coming off of a very, very bad week. I mean, we all know, I mentioned it earlier in the week. This past week, week 15 of the fantasy football season, was the lowest scoring week of all the weeks thus far this season. On average, teams were terrible. Quarterbacks were terrible. Tight ends, as usual, were terrible. Running backs that really shouldn't have been trash cans were trash cans, but it is what it is. Either way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are obviously going to lean in on trying to run the ball. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not really great at stopping the run, but can Dak Prescott be great? I wouldn't put too much, stock into that. Again, he's very volatile. If he doesn't end up throwing for a couple touchdowns, he just really doesn't have much value. But we'll go over that later. The Kansas City Chiefs giving up a bunch of points. Russell Wilson's going to have a great week. Whether it's throwing the ball or running the ball with his legs, I think he'll be able to find himself some great value here, especially with Chris Carson always being a little bit banged up here or there. Rashad Penny, still being a little banged up. There is a chance where this team just completely bails on running the ball because they need to continue to score as much as they possibly can to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs, which is where I like Russell Wilson. When he continuously has to throw the ball, it just presents more fantasy value for him. Anyway, moving on to number 5. That's the San Francisco 49ers giving up some points. Mitch Trubisky this week. Now, Mitch Trubisky, he really doesn't use his wide receivers that often. This past week, Tariq Cohen, Trey Burton were the two recipients of those 2 touchdowns that he threw. Now, Allen Robinson hasn't been healthy all season long. Guys like Taylor Gabriel and Anthony Miller, they are not elite enough in order to just walk through any sort of matchup. So they've had a tough time. But this week, compared to many of the other weeks that they've played, this is a much easier matchup. And last week, Trubisky was able to perform. I think he'll be able to do the same this week. You'll see it from my rankings, but it should be pretty good. Moving on, number 6, the Oakland Raiders giving up some points. All right, great. The Denver Broncos play the Oakland Raiders this week. Does that give me any sort of confidence that, Case Keenum should be trusted? Absolutely not. Do not touch Case Keenum unless it is your final option. It really just, it's not great. All right, anyway, moving on. The Saints playing against the Steelers this week. Ben Roethlisberger is probably going to have to throw the ball as much as he did last week, if not more. Here's the thing. James Conner has not practiced. He didn't practice today. That is an alarming sign. That does not give me any sort of semblance of confidence that he is potentially going to play this week. In fact, I'm thinking maybe just Jalen Samuels is going to be the go-to guy, maybe perhaps the rest of the season if he can't get back from this injury. I know it's a high ankle sprain, and that's usually a 2 to 4 week process in order to get back healthy, and they really don't feel like they need to rush him back because of how well Jalen Samuels performed last week. So I think they'll continue to throw the ball as much as they possibly can against one of the weaker secondaries, but a defense that has been much better in the last couple weeks. Only giving up 12.5 points in the last 6 weeks of fantasy. Not in fantasy, excuse me. 12.5 points on average for the last 6 weeks against their opponents. So as a defense, they're much improved. Either way, Ben Roethlisberger has a better matchup than some of the other guys, and he has a lot better weapons, and he has a better offensive line, and he's got a better defense. He is in a very, very advantageous position. He's just got to stop throwing interceptions, and we'll all be fine. All right, moving on. The Carolina Panthers giving up some points to the quarterback position. Drew Brees wasn't able to take advantage of that, but by all means, I'm telling you, Matt Ryan will take care of that. If you own Matt Ryan, this is the perfect week to play him. In the fantasy championship, in your semis, does not matter. In DFS, Matt Ryan is the way to go, in my opinion, this week. Moving on, number 9, the Patriots. Josh Allen. Congratulations, Josh Allen. You're going to have a good week. The Patriots, their defense is falling apart. Offensively, they're falling apart. News came out earlier today that Josh Gordon will be stepping away from the team. Now, when I originally just saw the post and saw that, okay, he's stepping away because of his mental health. Perhaps he had a relapse or something. And then I looked into it a little bit more, and I think the NFL is looming on a suspension for indefinite suspension on Josh Gordon because he did break the substance abuse policy in which they had lined up with him. As of right now, he's probably going to be suspended, but now that he's away from the team, it pretty much avoids the distraction that the Patriots don't need at this moment in time. Either way, it's pretty unfortunate for those of you. Obviously, it's unfortunate for Josh Gordon that he can't manage to figure it out. That's what sucks, right? But for those of you, that own him in fantasy, obviously that blows. It's just like a Kareem Hunt situation. Both parties are hurting. So, but in our fantasy perspective, this week it wasn't that great of a matchup anyway. So, we'll just go ahead and we'll move on. It could help James White. That's all I'm going to say. It could help James White. And if it does, I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers giving up some points to the quarterback position. Drew Brees has been a trash can in the last 3 weeks. Do I trust him to do anything? Absolutely not. You'll see it from my rankings. But really, I cannot trust Drew Brees. He's just killing fantasy teams. And I don't want him killing your fantasy team in the championship week. So I can't suggest him. And you'll see it from the rankings, but it's just, it's disgusting. The Dolphins playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is not a quarterback you want to play. Cody Kessler, you don't want to touch. The Lions playing against Kirk Cousins. Great. That is a good matchup. Kirk Cousins should be able to take advantage of that. Hopefully Adam Thielen shows up. And Stephon Diggs, we know, he'll find the end zone. He'll be fine. The Eagles playing against the quarterback, not great. Deshaun Watson will be able to take advantage of that, but I'm a little skeptical, guys. I'm telling you, for how bad the offensive line of the Texans is, that Eagles defensive line, they're going to get after Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Chris Long, Michael Bennett. I mean, Haloti Ngata, they're going to get after him. They're definitely going to get after him. So just a little concern there. Moving on, the Jets playing against the Packers. Aaron Rodgers going to have a good week. The fact that he's playing just gives me confidence. Another thing that gives me confidence. So we know that Aaron Jones is out. He's on the IR. But Jamal Williams is dealing with a toe injury. So after Jamal Williams, who's the next running back on this team? They don't have any more Ty Montgomery. So the way I see it, this coming week, it could be just Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball nonstop. And that's what you want to see. You want to see Aaron Rodgers throw the ball, especially against the Jets defense, especially if you own a guy like Devontae Adams. Potentially, Randall Cobb could be a bonus, good flex play this week if Jamal Williams is injured. All right, moving on. The Washington Redskins, they play against the Tennessee Titans. Do not touch Mariota. The guy didn't even throw over 100 yards last week. Why? Because all they do is run the ball. Okay? So leave him alone. Don't touch Mariota. The Rams playing against the Cardinals. I don't even know who the Cardinals quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be Rosen? Is it going to be Glennon? Does it matter? Not really. Don't touch them. The Packers, Sam Darnold could be decent. That's all I'm saying. Could be decent. He played decent. I mean, he played pretty well last week. I'm going to be honest. He played pretty well. For how bad he looked, he managed to be a top 4 quarterback in fantasy. So I'm not going to sleep on him. We're going to mention him today, but I'm not too high on him. But if you really need it, it's not a bad play. Moving on, we have the Houston Texans playing against Nick Foles. We'll see what Nick Foles ends up doing. I think he'll be decent. I mean, I think he'll at least get some touchdown passes, but I'm not sure if he's 100% matchup proof as of right now. The Denver Broncos, the Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, Seattle Seahawks, we get it, blah, blah, blah. The teams that are pretty tough against the quarterback, it is the Bills, who, we've seen last time he played against Tom Brady. They came to play against Tom Brady, and they gave him a tough time. Really, the Bills they give up majority of their points on the ground. So I'm not sure if Brady can be even much of a service play this week. The Bears, terrorizing the quarterback position. Mullins could struggle, but then again, we've seen Mullins struggle early in the first half and then come in the second half and just play all garbage time all the time. Moving on, the Vikings terrorizing quarterbacks. Last time they played against Matthew Stafford, what was he able or capable of doing? Nothing much. His offensive line, they broke down, and he got sacked, 6+ times. The Tennessee Titans, given how the quarterbacks, Josh Johnson's going to struggle. The Baltimore Ravens. Now, you may be thinking, okay, the Baltimore Ravens, they're a top 5 defense against the quarterback. Against the quarterback position. They give up the 5th fewest amount of points on a weekly basis. We should be able to maybe perhaps sit Phillip Rivers this week. I don't see that as the case. I'll go into it a little bit more, but I think Phillip Rivers is matchup proof at this point. So I'm not really buying in on that. Arizona Cardinals playing tough against the quarterback because they give up all their points on the ground. Really, they can't stop the run for their lives. But that being said, I'm not playing Jared Goff, period. You'll see it from my rankings. It's pretty ridiculous. Anyway, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they play against Tannehill. Not sure if we can trust that. The Chargers, Lamar Jackson will be fine. The Giants and the Cowboys. All right, no big deal. I think everybody will find their way to success, hopefully this week. But either way, let's go ahead and move on into my quarterback rankings. Now, to preface really quickly, down below, right here, okay, I just want to make it a quick word so I don't have to. I'm not answering a single question that has Jared Goff's name in it. I'm fed up. I'm fed up. It is unbelievable how bad he has played in the last 3 weeks. It's unbelievable. Now, is that, gonna, play favor on whether I suggest him or not? Absolutely. I am going full biased. I am not playing Jared Goff. I will not subject my fantasy team in the championship to a Jared Goff performance if all he is going to do is throw interceptions. Plain and simple, I don't want to play him. Therefore, play at your own discretion and figure it out. Not touching him. I can't. Guys, it would kill me if I told you play Jared Goff, he got 6 points, you lose the championship. It would kill me. I would rather say, hey, you leave him on the bench or you make the decision than me make it for you and you lose because of Jared Goff. I can't do it. I can't do it. It hurts too much. All right, let's move on. Let's just talk about my rankings. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. What a surprise. Patty Mahomes, number 1. Last couple of weeks, he hasn't looked Patty Mahomes-esque, but that being said, I think perhaps some of you have gotten too accustomed to the 40 points that you were normally getting. You have to understand, this is the NFL. If you get down to the 5-yard line, you should probably run the ball, okay? A lot of coaches have learned in the past, hey, we saw what Pete Carroll did in that Super Bowl by leaving Marshawn Lynch in the backfield and not plugging him up the middle to win that Super Bowl. You know, people have learned. They run the ball when they're down in the goal line, okay? So if you at me on Twitter, which someone did, what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes? Listen, I'm not angry at you. Understand. You know, you watch the game, see the field positioning, and understand why those plays were called. You know, we can't project what kind of plays are going to be called or where they end up on the field or how that's going to affect the NFL game because that's just a variable we can't anticipate. So as of right now, Patrick Mahomes, yes, he hasn't been 40 points, but he's still a solid quarterback. He is still one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. And this coming week against the Seattle Seahawks, I expect him to be great as usual. So he's my number 1 going forward. Man, he is the NFL MVP, plain and simple. There shouldn't even be an argument about it. Moving on. Number 2, Russell Wilson playing against Patrick Mahomes. Wow, we have Russell Wilson. I think this game could be a pretty good shootout. I think anybody who plays against the Chiefs is pretty much going to be fantasy relevant. Their defense is not great, and how quickly their offense scores, it just gives more and more opportunity to other teams to get back on the field and score themselves. This week, Russell Wilson, great matchup. And to be honest, he's still trying to make the playoffs, so he's going to try to get after it and have himself a good week. He's my number 2. Number 3, we have Matt Ryan playing against the Carolina Panthers. That definitely going to be without Cam Newton, maybe without Christian McCaffrey. If that's the case, they might as well pull out Luke Kuechly, pull out all of their talent, and just ship it till next season. Either way, Matt Ryan this week into a pretty good matchup. He's going to be able to have himself a good game. He'll be able to feast him, Julio, Tevin Coleman, Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper. Those weapons will be able to at least produce fantasy-wise because not only are they going to have advantages offensively, but defensive side of the ball, they're not going to be blown out as bad as they usually are because there isn't going to be many weapons on the other side to kind of force their hand into playing a complete shootout. I think it's going to be a one-way game, and Matt Ryan should be a good play this week. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers playing against the Jets. Like I mentioned before, if Jamal Williams is injured, they're going to have to throw the ball even more. Even if Jamal Williams is healthy, I expect Aaron Rodgers to have a better week than he did last week. I knew he was going to struggle. That Bears defense is nothing to mess around with, and in fact, you can't play quarterbacks into the Bears matchup unless you're Patrick Mahomes, and that's the only guy perhaps maybe even Russell Wilson I'd have confidence in, but man, it's a tough matchup, especially with the pressure that teams send nowadays. They'll get after them. But either way, Aaron Rodgers this week against the Jets, going to be a great matchup. I expect Devontae Adams and him to hook up for a lot of yards this week. He's my number 4 quarterback. Number 5, Baker Mayfield. Yes, that is correct. We have Baker Mayfield at number 5. Playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, another revenge game, okay? They have to play against Hugh Jackson, who's a special advisor to the Cincinnati Bengals as of right now. So I'm sure that the Browns are going to be fired up to get after that matchup, just like they did a couple weeks back. And I think Baker's going to have himself a good week. He's my number 5 quarterback. I'm not kidding. He's my number 5 quarterback. Number 6, we have Andrew Luck. Now, the only reason I have Andrew Luck a little bit lower than these other guys, even though he's been consistent this season, last week, they ran the ball consistently, and Marlon Mack pretty much dominated the entire game. And that did not allow Andrew Luck to have many fantasy, opportunities last week. That being said, they play against the Giants this week. And I've been mentioning it. The Giants have given up 7 100-yard rushers out of the last 8 games. Okay? Now, what does that mean? With Marlon Mack having gone off last week and looking like the return of the Mack, this week, why would they ever shy away from that? Why wouldn't they continuously run the ball down the Giants' throat in order to keep Andrew Luck healthy and just pick up an easy win? I expect that to happen, but I still think Andrew Luck can be fantasy relevant. I don't think they're going to be as committed to the run as they were last week. because it's game script. You never know. Maybe the Giants come out and they figure it out. They don't end up getting blown up like the Dallas Cowboys did. But either way, I think Andrew Luck will have a good week, but just a little bit less expectations than usual because of how good Marlon Mack has been last week, especially, and how bad the Giants' defensive, at least the run stop, has been as of late. All right, moving on. Number 7, Mitch Trubisky playing against the 49ers. I would have him higher, but I can't trust him throwing to the wide receiver position. I can trust him to maybe get it there, but I'm not sure if he's going to. I don't know. I just feel like Mitch Trubisky is a 2-touchdown kind of guy. At this point in the season, yeah, we've seen him throw for 6 touchdowns in one game and 3 in a couple others, but I think he's more of a 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, or 2 passing touchdowns and an interception kind of guy. That's where I see him at. So he's my number 7. Number 8, we have Deshaun Watson playing against the Eagles. Again, he should be higher. It is a very bad secondary, but that pass rush, man, I'm really concerned about it. So either way, I think he's still a top 8 quarterback. That being said, I think it's that much of an advantageous matchup that it really doesn't matter. You're still playing him because they're still trying to make the playoffs. They have fight left in them. And yes, the Eagles are a tougher team when Nick Foles is at quarterback, but I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out this week. All right, number 9, we have Ben Roethlisberger. Okay, if James Conner doesn't play, it doesn't hurt him. And I think it helps him a little bit. With how well Jalen Samuels played last week, it really doesn't feel like they were missing. They didn't miss a beat. They didn't have James Conner, sure, but Jalen Samuels played just as good, if not better than he would have. So as of right now, I think he'll continuously throw the ball, but I'm just a little worried because of how good that Saints defense has been as of late. So that being said, just a little concerned, but he's still a top 10 quarterback. Moving on to number 10. Speaking of the top 10, we have Josh Allen. No joke, guys. I know rankings are subject to change, but man, Josh Allen, he's too consistent. He perhaps should be higher, but I like these other guys. I trust them a little bit more into their specific matchups. But Josh Allen, there could be an argument to have him at number 6 this week, number 4. I mean, really, there could be an argument for it. And if you want me to make that argument for you and convince you, go for it. Meet me meet me 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Saturday during our live stream, and I will convince you publicly, hey, this is why you should play Josh Allen over X, Y, or Z. Okay? Anyway, number 11, we have Kirk Cousins playing against the Lions. Kirk Cousins, with the offensive change, them consistently running the ball more, it's going to open up more opportunities for him to drop back, use play action, not have defensive ends pin their ears back and rush after him every single down. So that'll obviously open up more for him. He's my number 11 quarterback, should be good this week. Number 12, Phillip Rivers, playing against a tougher Baltimore defense. Now, I'm not really afraid of the defense more than I'm afraid that, okay, if Melvin Gordon comes back, which I'm expecting him to do so, the Chargers are in turn going to run the ball more. If the Chargers run the ball more, that's fine. But we've seen the Chargers, especially last week, they can go on 8-minute drives in which they kill an entire quarter. Now, on the other side of the ball, you have the Baltimore Ravens who only run the ball. All they do is run the ball with Gus Edwards, Lamar Jackson using his legs, and Kenneth Dixon. That's all they want to do. They want to run the ball themselves. So I really think that this game might be a lower scoring game. And that is what's going to hurt Phillip Rivers in the end. I don't think that Phillip Rivers is going to be, he's going to throw 10 interceptions. That's not the case. He's going to be good this week. But I think the game clock is going to disappear because of both these teams wanting to run the ball. And personally, that can hurt a quarterback just because of game script. So that's why he's at my number 12. Still think he's matchup proof. I really don't believe the Ravens defense is going to pose too much of a threat to Phillip Rivers, who's having one of his best seasons of his entire career, to be honest. Number 13, Drew Brees. Okay, Drew Brees, you get to sit outside the top 12. You get to think about what you've done in the last couple of weeks, how many teams you've personally killed, and you get to play against the Pittsburgh defense, right? Their defense is not invulnerable. You can figure it out, but you need to literally throw the ball to somebody other than Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. They desperately need a number. They really needed Dez Bryant. I'm telling you, if Dez Bryant was on this team right now, if he didn't tear his Achilles, how much better they would be right now. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, they just need another wide receiver that's just as good as Michael Thomas. They need the Brandon Cooks on the other side. They need the Dez Bryant. They need another playmaker. It really is. I know their offense is good, or was good earlier this season, but as of late, man, they've been terrible. So Drew Brees, you get to sit at number 13 this week. Number 14, Lamar Jackson, a guy that's he's been solid, right? Uses his legs to make some plays here and there, but you're never going to see him throw for 2 touchdowns. That's really out of the realm of possibility for him. Within this offensive scheme, they really like to run the ball, especially when they get down to the goal line and into the red zone. So I just don't see him much, having the upside of 2, maybe perhaps 3 touchdowns comparatively to the guys above him. So I'm just going to say Lamar Jackson, he's a decent play. 16, 15 points, that's what you're going to get, right? Upside of potentially, give or take 20, but I like, he's probably just a 16-point play. Number 15, Sam Darnold. Now, Sam Darnold, he could have a good game. He really could. Let me just go in. I want to pull something up just because I'm just curious. Let's see here. Okay. So the Green Bay Packers, right? That's who they play this week. Now, what have the Green Bay Packers done in the last couple weeks? Okay, against Mitch Trubisky, they gave up 235 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Great. Now, the week before that, against Matt Ryan, they gave up 3 passing touchdowns. Against the Cardinals, Josh Rosen didn't throw any touchdowns because he's a bum. Against the Vikings, Kirk Cousins threw for 3 touchdowns. And against the Seahawks, Russell Wilson threw for 2 touchdowns. What else? Let's see here. What is another matchup? They played against the Dolphins, who sucked. But in the last 5 weeks, okay, 4 out of the last 5 matchups, opposing quarterbacks have thrown 2 or more passing touchdowns. The Jets this week, they came out really trying to pick up a win last week, and I think there's a chance that potentially Sam Darnold could be good. Now, this is a deeper play. If you play in a 2 QB league, or you're playing in some sort of scoring format that you're really just, I don't know, maybe perhaps super flex, I don't know. This could be an opportunity or a play that you could go for. Now, is it something that you can potentially, let's be honest, if you're in the championship week, it's week 16 at this point. If you're in the championship week, you're probably steering away from guys like Sam Darnold, but there's also a chance that you got to the championship with a Cam Newton. He's not playing this week. So the best possible option could be Sam Darnold. That's why I'm mentioning this. I think he honestly is a better player than Tom Brady and Dak Prescott and Jameis Winston this week because, I really don't think they have anything to lose. And he didn't look that bad last week, so he'll be my number 15 this week. Moving on to number 16, we have Tom Brady. All right, Tom Brady. You lost Josh Gordon. You play against one of the tougher defenses when it comes to preventing people from throwing the ball against them. And to be honest, you've been disappointing all season long. So you get to sit out here at number 16, old man Brady. Number 17, we have Dak Prescott. Now, I didn't mention, yes, he plays against Tampa Bay defense. But if him and Amari Cooper don't end up having a combination of 2 touchdown passes for, him having over 200 passing yards and him having 50 rushing yards, you can just kiss it goodbye. They want to run the ball. The Cowboys want to run the ball. Now, Dak Prescott could potentially end up running the ball himself, finding himself a rushing touchdown down at the goal line. But truth be told, if he cannot find Amari Cooper and score multiple times with his arm, he's not going to be that good. On the other side of that matchup, we have Jameis Winston, who he'll be fine. I think the defense is good, but I don't think it's going to kill him. So I'm sure Jameis Winston will figure it out. He'll be my number 18. And that's pretty much it. That's truth be told, that's my rankings for this week. Obviously, rankings are subject to change. By Saturday, Sunday, I will have my updated rankings for every position. So if you guys do show up, hang out at the live stream, ask questions, that'll be cool. And that's pretty much it. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't already, click that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Again, we're trying to get to 5,000 subs, guys. I know I'm pretty far away, but really, that is the milestone that I want to hit before this year ends. We've got about 10 days, 11 days to do so. So if we can get that done, get me somehow, 300 subs. There's been weeks where I've been able to get 500 subs. Just gotta find that pocket. But either way, thank you everybody for watching. For those of you who are subbed, thank you for being a part of this community. Appreciate you guys, all the support you guys give. Hopefully we can pick you up some fantasy championships this week. That's the plan, and that's what we're going to get done. Anyway, have a nice day. I'll see you guys on Saturday. This is the last video until then. See you guys Saturday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget about it. All right, see you guys. Peace.